Everyone, welcome back to the Performance Matters podcast. I'm your host, Matrixx, and we're joined today by Coach Aidan. He's sitting across from me. Before we give a big shout out to some of our sponsors, I want to remind everyone that there are two types of people out there. There are subscribers and there are non-subscribers. If you have not yet subscribed after 80 episodes now of the Performance Matters podcast, 80 episodes?
80, 81, something like that?
Something like that. If you have yet to like, follow, subscribe on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube, maybe you're dead to me. I don't really know. So, but it's okay. You can come back in my life.
Say you don't care without saying you don't care.
Yeah. You're just dead to me.
Yeah.
But it's really easy to get back on my good graces. Just like, subscribe, and follow us on Spotify. Make it really simple. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you. We love you. We'll continue to love you. Right. And of course, you know where to tune in for latest and greatest. Going into our shout outs. First off, big shout out to Coachology. Coachology is a coaching platform using AI model that is, of course, used to provide athletes feedback. We want to make sure that, of course, the AI function is customizable, right? It's a good opportunity for athletes to collaborate more effectively through video analysis, personalized feedback, and AI coaching assistance. Of course, the goal being to just extend the coach's expertise beyond in-person sessions and provide athletes with ongoing individualized guidance. So big shout out to Coachology. You can reach them at www.coachology.ai. Fantastic people over there trying to do some pretty incredible things. And of course, you know where the PMP is being hosted at. It's inside Iron Performance Center, Niagara's greatest strength conditioning facility ever. Upper East Side, bad boys.
Shameless plug always.
You have to do it. You have to. You can't be in the studio and not give a shout out to our roots, man. Like really, we wouldn't be in this studio. Like we're inside the belly of IPC.
Born and bred.
Yeah, born and bred in IPC, man. Like it's crazy. For those who are actually tuning in, you'll probably notice like there's curtains and all sorts of shit. We're just gradually piecing this studio together. So, thank you all for coming along for the ride. It's been a blast. So, in terms of the topics for today, I wanted to kind of talk about, well, first off, we know that a lot of our athletes are heading back to school. It's that time of year. It's been a tremendous summer. Fantastic summer. It's been a blast having all of our kids back in the room. And it's that bittersweet moment. Like August is the Sunday of summer. That's exactly what it feels like.
I saw you wrote that on the board. Is that an actual quote by Michael Scott that you've
quoted?
Okay, all right. I knew you were just being funny.
I literally wrote that quote. I just made up that quote.
Yeah.
And then I put Michael Scott and then I put my name underneath it just because.
I get what you're trying to do. Yeah. But I was like staring at that and I was like, did he actually say that? I don't know.
No, Michael Scott did not actually say that. It was literally just the theme of like when they had that stupid small office in the basement.
The Wayne Gretzky.
Michael Scott. So I was like, let's see who gets that reference.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So as I was saying, the August is the Sunday of summer. It's that bittersweet moment, but it's been a blast having our athletes home. And now, we'll be sending them out back out there and just watch them kick some ass. So I think it's just that time of year, man.
Yep.
It's just the way it is, So
it's weird how this time of year feels like it's long, but also short. They got a ton of work done in like a small amount of time, but at the same time, you feel like you have seen them for a whole year because they were doing so much.
Yeah, I just love kind of reflecting back and being like, you know what, guys, it's been and you can kind of feel it too, right? They're like kind of ready to go back,
Yeah.
If you kind of look back at the beginning of summer, like mid, late April, early May, they were kind of like so excited to be home, like, oh, thank God I'm home. And now it's like naturally, it's that time they're kind of like they're ready to go back. It's like, yeah, you know what, I'm ready to get back to my routine. I'm ready to get back to camp. I'm ready to put it all on the line. It's like, yeah. And I think that's why it makes it feel like this last week or so feels like longer. It's because like they're going through that final push. Some of them are just kind of trudging through it, but they're more like focused on like, let's just get to camp and get after it, which I'm all for. So it's kind of like, hey, have some fun with it. Let's finish this week off on a high.
Put the work in all summer, let's get back to it.
It's been a long 16, 17, 18 weeks for some of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Day in and day out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally feel where they're coming from. So, but yeah, I want to obviously give a big shout out to them. And by the time this episode comes out, make sure you check out our new blog post. It's ironic. It's literally just called A Letter to Our Varsity Athletes. I wrote a letter to our varsity athletes, just a bunch of good stuff, just kind of acknowledging and saying some really nice things. So if you guys want to check that out, go to ironperformance.ca, click on the blog, and you can read a letter to our varsity athletes, just kind of putting a little bit into words of kind of how I'm feeling about things and what we're feeling about things. But that's, I'm excited to watch them compete, but I thought I'd start. I honestly thought I'd start with some kind of fun rapid fire questions. And I think we'll transition to our next topic because I do want to talk about what you think it takes to be a good jump athlete in terms of the data that we look at. Right. So I'll kind of let that percolate for a second. But we'll start with some, like, I think random questions that I think some people also mentioned. And I wanted to kind of like put it out there and just kind of see. What's the funniest excuse you've heard for someone missing a training session?
Funniest excuse. I'm not feeling strong. Like, really?
I'm just not feeling strong.
I wonder what you could do about that, eh?
Yeah, that's kind of like, that is a weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like missing the dentist. Like, my teeth just don't feel clean.
Yeah. Oh, geez, can't do it.
I can't go to the dentist. They're just not clean. It's like, it's the prerequisite.
Who would you see about that, I wonder?
Yeah,
you know?
like, what? Well, that's awful. What do we do about this?
Yeah.
Wow.
It is funny when you hear that, though, you know? Like,
oh, I'm not feeling strong today.
Yeah. And like, I think, unfortunately, it is kind of a sentiment that's felt amongst maybe like newer athletes or even like regular folks that want to get started in this kind of facility. Like, they don't feel like they can put in work today. Well, you know what? Like, come in here and see what we get after it.
I find like it's weird that they have like some preconceived notions of like they have to be like pre-qualified, essentially, before they feel the need that they're ready to start training. It's almost like, and I look at it, I think honestly the dentist is a good example, but I would look at it like if you hired someone to clean your house, and then all of a sudden you just have to like, well, I have to clean the house before the cleaners come. I'm just like, but they're gonna clean the house.
It's weird.
Like, I can't get a cleaner until I clean my house.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, no. Or it's like, as a kid, you know, like your parents would make you brush your teeth before you go to the dentist. Why?
Exactly.
Why?
Exactly.
It's
I'm
like,
thinking back, it is kind of weird, but
it was weird because even today I'm like, it's never going to be good enough.
Yeah.
Like they're doing a whole deep clean polish, whatever they're doing. And they keep, you know, saying the same things over and over again. Like, make sure you floss, all this stuff. It's like,
floss our day,
Yeah. So it's like, for me, it was like the prerequisite. I had to brush my teeth before I go to the dentist. It's like, I'm sure it's good practice, but it was more just like, why? That's what the dentist
just showing off for the dentist.
Yeah.
Man.
Like I'm just trying to go to the dentist and get my shit done. You know what I mean? Like, so if the prerequisite's like, I can't train because I have to get strong first. So
how'd you even go about that?
Yeah.
You know?
How do we start?
Genuinely, like, how would you actually like prepare for training?
Yeah.
Without training, you know?
I don't know. You just visualize it.
I guess so. You get like
just trying to pick something.
I'm not mentally ready today. I gotta do my mental exercises before I do my literal exercises.
It's just repeating a lot of the things we've talked about with parents. It's like there's a lot of, honestly, you just want to call it bullshit. A lot of bullshit excuses like, oh, they can't come because they have this and I want them doing too much and all this. It's like, again, what do you think we're doing in here? Like, genuinely, what do you think we're doing in here? Do you think we're trying to run them into the ground? Do you think like the first thing that we lick our lips would be like, oh, we're going to just demolish them?
Like, there's no way that's going to end out well for anybody.
No. So like when they're trying to make up these things like, oh, I can't do this because of that, because, you know, I'm not strong enough, or I'm not, you know, I don't want to do too much and everything else. You're like, that is the wrong, we don't have that problem yet. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
That's not an issue yet. But okay, that's a good excuse for, that's honestly, that's a pretty funny excuse, actually. I would take that one. If you had to pick one IPC athlete, who would you want to absolutely not have as a roommate?
Oh, man. Oh, dude. I only have to pick one, eh?
Why, do you have three?
I got like 15 at least. No, not have as an IPC roommate.
I would not, like, who would you not want to have as a roommate?
Oh, jeez. Like, I like to go to bed fairly early, and there's like a few in here that I feel like just do not go to bed early. Okay, does that have to be like somebody who's currently here, or just like somebody who has been here?
Sure, you can pick.
Okay, I'm gonna go Jacob Shannon. Calling you out right now, man.
God, that's a good option. That's a good choice. Good choice.
Dude, go to bed on time.
Wow.
Go to bed.
Wow. I was going to pick Luke. I just don't want to wake up to I don't want to have like shadow boxing happening in the corner. Like, I feel like Luke is the guy, like, he's so intense. And he's so like nicest guy, but so intense. But I feel like he'd be the guy like shadow boxing in the shower, just like practicing every moment. I'm like,
he's wrestling his pillow at midnight.
I just would be like anxious and be like, all right, man, I gotta like get some sleep, but I'm sleeping with one eye open because all I hear is Ha, you know what I mean?
He's like hugging the corners and like
He's just,
I'm doing a lights out scenario right now. You can you can sleep, but
I just get tackled and be like, "Ah." That's a good one. Okay, so Jacob Shea, Lucas, yo, keep doing great, guys.
Hard workers when they actually get to it.
Yo,
But
you guys are insane animals, but I'm at an age now where I value a comfy chair and a good night's sleep. And the last thing I need is to wake up to anyone shadow boxing or just not going to bed at all. Who do you think would survive the longest in a zombie apocalypse?
We just talked about Luke. I feel like Luke would actually be pretty insane in a zombie apocalypse.
I just,
or you know what?
I don't know, because I feel like he would go at the zombies, but I'm like, well, you can't really do much.
Yeah.
Like, I think your person that's going to win is going to be the one that like dips, dodges, and weaves and like finds survival.
Someone like super cautious, eh?
Super cautious and like, hides well in plain sight. You know what I mean? Like if you look at like the what was the show? What was that? Last of Us.
Last of Us, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that guy that literally just built the community. He went to Home Depot, just built like fences.
Yeah.
He's not like a scary, intimidating guy. He just knew his limits.
He's just the most sensible character
most
ever.
sensible guy. He's like, okay, like this is
maybe that kind of changed my perspective a little bit.
I know.
Who's like the most sensible around here? Who's the most cautious? That's a decent question, actually.
That's a good question. Like, I'm trying to think who would be. That's a tough one. Maybe. No, it's not.
It's weird when you like separate the actual killing of zombies, eh?
Yeah. It's like, well, yeah. I think we all think like, who's going to survive? Like, oh, you're going to go out there fighting. It's like, well, no, you don't have to. You just have to kind of like make peace with the world around you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like Lauren McPhail. Like,
yeah, maybe
it's Lauren McPhail.
Yeah,
like sense of just like sensible, just not trying to tackle anything. Just,
you know what? I'm gonna shout out one of our more calm members. I'm gonna shout out Rachel.
Oh, I changed my answer.
Yeah, dude. Rachel.
I changed my answer. Yo, Rachel.
Dude.
Rachel would survive a
She's
zombie
calm
apocalypse.
and like
sensible. Logical.
And she's not afraid to call you out when you're doing something stupid, you know?
She's like, we don't have to go outside today.
Exactly.
The zombies are out. Like we can just we can just barricade the doors and we have a cellar.
Yeah.
Yo, I
don't give away your food.
Good answer.
Yeah, I feel like
that was a good answer. I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay. If you weren't coaching, what do you generally think you'd be doing?
Oh. You know what? I do like kind of physical jobs, so I feel like I'd be doing something like carpentry or
I'm in this woodwork. Yeah, I'm on the woodworking trend.
You're in a nice little vibe of woodwork right now. I think it'd be pretty cool, Like after a job like that, you can actually take a look back and see what you did. Like that's probably one of the more satisfying parts of that.
I think
profession.
there's like room for creativity, but also room for just like tedious. You punch in, you just have to keep.
There's a way to do things.
There's a way to do things, and you don't have to be like, if you want to be creative, like the creative part is like, I envision building this thing, sketch it out, map it out, get the materials. Great. And then the rest of it's going to be like, hey, some days is literally just cut, drill, screw, hammer, sand.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice. She's like, yeah, for the next 5 hours today, all I have to do is cut, drill, screw, take my lunch break, get coffee,
you know what?
dart.
Yeah, really. Like,
and then just
take the stress out, man.
Yeah. It sounds kind of peaceful, honestly.
One thing I actually like doing, like even around here, like I always like starting my day with the most mind-numbing thing that doesn't require you to just like smash your head against the wall. Like I actually like starting off by just folding some towels.
That's kind of nice, yeah.
Yeah, like you just don't have to think about anything. Just get your hands busy.
Yeah, just fold some towels.
Yeah, I like that. I think there's like
check the box.
Yeah, plenty of room for that in like woodworking or carpentry.
Maybe I got to start doing something just kind of just like the first win of the day. That's something simple and like.
You ever see you ever watch The Bear, like that cooking show?
No, I've heard things about it.
It's really good, and like one of the things I forget even what episode it was, but like this master chef, she could do whatever she wants. She can make like the most exquisite meal, but she's like honestly like. The first thing she'll do when she steps in the kitchen is just start peeling mushrooms or like cutting mushrooms up. And like anybody could do it, But it's just like the most keeping your hands busy. Don't think about anything, little routine that I feel like is one of the best ways you can just start a day off,
Yeah, maybe I got to change things up. 'Cause my mind just goes a mile a minute every time I walk in. Like
Yeah.
first thing I'm doing is like emails, fucking softwares. I'm just like,
Chug an extra large coffee and get going.
yeah,
You know, but
maybe I start with like, hey, I'm just gonna like literally just roll the benches out. Honestly, I think that's kind of nice, like putting the programs out too. It's like I
do like
it's kind
that.
of like therapeutic at the end of the day. Just kind of like just file it,
Mhm.
file it,
Yeah.
file it, put it out, file it, file it. It's like that's kind of nice.
I do kind of like doing that, you know?
Yeah, it's like wow, okay, that's
Get your hands busy, just, you know,
wow.
calm your mind. It's not super intricate work.
I like that. I like that one. Okay, we covered some pretty random funny shit, but
Yeah.
I think
Some gems in there though.
okay, watch this. Okay, if IPC had to become completely different business tomorrow, what should we turn into?
Oh man. That is a good question.
Yeah, completely different. Like what would IPC become if we weren't doing this?
It's so weird because like the space is unique, but you also have like such a large community that you still want the community to be there. This is gonna be a weird answer, man. But how about a daycare?
Just right, moms and dads.
Yeah,
Drop your kids
drop
off.
your kids off, and you're like, you know, go have brunch or something.
You're watching Daddy Daycare. You're all they'll be like, but they're just men. Are you kidding me?
We're gonna have story time. We got the Wall Street Journal over there. We're gonna read a few entries.
There's no fucking way it could be a daycare. Some moms you drop it off like they're toddlers and you're like, you're all just dudes.
Yeah. The wives will drop off their husbands, you know, like,
Oh, so it's an adult. It's like adult, like,
yeah,
hey,
no, like that's taking it in a different route, but like just hang out for an hour, everybody.
just watch the game. I don't know.
Hey, dude, wouldn't that be awesome?
Play spike ball.
Yeah.
Throw
Just
some
like
cornhole.
hey, we might be looking at a totally different business, a totally different revenue stream. Guys, just hang out. We'll put the game on, have a coffee. $50 an hour.
Yeah. Paying for the peace of mind. Eh? That's crazy.
We'll tell everybody it's still a gym, but we're just gonna hang out.
It's like those dads that go on the roof.
Yeah.
They crack a beer, they just start hammering the roof family just to get time.
How's it coming, honey? Oh yeah.
We're getting somewhere. A few more hours. Just hammering away.
This might take all week.
Wow. That's crazy.
Like I said, weird answer, but you know what? Like,
Yeah, I was just, I don't know. I was thinking, I don't even know what, yeah.
what were you thinking?
I don't know, like manufacturing or something. I don't know. Like, like, yeah, let's go on the blue collar theme.
Yeah.
Like a masonry or
Put them
something.
together, you know?
Or auto body shop. I think
I thought of that first.
yeah, the auto body
I
shop
thought of that
kind of
first.
fits the name,
Yeah.
but I don't know shit about cars.
Yeah.
So, but like, if we had to do it, I'm sure we could park some vehicles.
We could
in
fit a
here.
whole parking lot in here. So,
Yeah,
you know what? Like,
Yeah, we could do.
that could work.
Yeah, we could do something. I think that's wow.
Might break a few cars, but
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Okay, let's we gotta get back on track here. Okay, let's go back to the main point of this conversation. I want to talk about some things that it takes to be a good jumper, and I think we will refer it back to what we typically see with the force plate data, and we'll cover a lot of the caveats because I think we'll kind of talk a little bit more about some of the velocity based stuff since we're kind of wrapping up the summer. But I want to ask you the question first, because obviously you've worked with a lot of the younger volleyball players. What do you think it takes from looking at the information for them to improve their jump, improve their vertical? We'll translate it to like their approach, because that's obviously like the biggest one that they care about.
right. I think that especially the younger athletes, eccentric loading is going to be a big part of it. Because you see, like, even in like any of their regular exercises, let's say they squat, they're like split squat, whatever, a lot of these guys will just drop right in the bottom. You know, they have no idea how to actually control their own weight and then break and efficiently propel themselves. You know, I think that's probably one of the first things I would look at, especially since I've seen like that first learning curve of how to actually strengthen your legs being really lacking in that eccentric loading.
Now, I think it's going to depend on what kind of eccentric loading.
What do you mean?
Because there's two types of eccentrics. There's going to be submaximal eccentrics, which, it's not the most effective stimulus in terms of truly improving eccentric capacity, because we know that we are stronger eccentrically than concentrically if you do submaximal, even if it's long duration eccentric work, and you can still concentrically finish the movement in terms of training the actual eccentric portion. It's exactly that, submaximal, different than if you did anything else submaximal. Still a place for it. And then there's supramaximal, like actual overloaded eccentrics, where it's like you are now taking the overloaded eccentric, like the eccentric portion, and overloading it beyond its capacity, and then pretty much either partner assist or weight releasers, so you can concentrically finish the action. That's, to me, to be a true eccentric. I think there is a spot for long duration eccentrics. Like you do quasi isometrics, you could do long duration, but keeping in mind what is really happening with the rep and what's really happening to the body when we do longer duration eccentrics, a lot of it's just rep integrity, right?
True.
So a lot of it's just the quality of the rep and the control of the rep improving. And that by default can increase a lot of things around it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But at the same time, the question is like, well, how do you now load athletes eccentrically? And furthermore, it's like knowing that that eccentric portion is so important when it comes to their ability to do braking forces. How do we do that? Now, that's not the only way, right? Like there are ways to do this. And for example, like younger athletes, what would you do?
I think it's because a lot of them don't know the proper pattern. I think that submaximal route might be better when they're first learning, and then as they get more confident, more efficient, and like they have a better understanding of how to actually, eccentrically load themselves, then you can introduce that supramaximal, that stuff that requires a higher integrity.
Yeah, I think if I was going to try to, so look at it this way. So typically if you've looked at how I kind of do the stuff for my volleyball off season, you'll see we have a really submaximal accentuated eccentric block. Then we'll go into maximal eccentrics, which essentially is just the tempo is the same, but you're trying to now load up more weight at the same tempo week after week. And then we'll go into our supramaximal, which is okay. Now we're going to throw the hooks on there and do it. And then we'll go into our fast eccentrics, which is kind of like what we're finishing off with. You'll see a lot of my varsity kids stuff. Yeah, myotatic, where it's like there's a controlled tempo for the first half of the movement, and then you're really trying to pull and punch yourself out to train that way.
Yeah.
So
it takes those first few phases to actually get there,
Yeah, it's a good progression. Is it the end all be all? I don't know. But we've seen some good results. I think it's important how do you scale that to a younger athlete? So for example, you're not going to put a 14 or 15-year-old, maybe, on weight releasers.
Right.
But there's a way to supermaximally overload it. It would just be you change the exercise and make it like a 2 up, 1 down, right? Like literally you could have them do a rear foot elevated split squat, hold some dumbbells, control it down, drop them, stand up, pick them back up again, or release one dumbbell, stand up.
Good way to simplify it. Yeah.
Simplify it. You could do trap bar deadlifts, hey, pick up one and then go down on one leg, hit the ground, stand up with it. So there's ways to do it that's less risky for athletes. But so if we're talking about the jump, so you're saying eccentric, what else will impact their ability to jump?
I think this is kind of going off the eccentric, but their ability to break as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing. So I think we have to make it clear genetics are going to be the prime driver. It's based on your genetics, you have a predisposed essentially ceiling for your jump ability. Braking ability, looking at their braking velocity, their counter movement depth, all those things, and their eccentric peak force when they're going on the plates. Those are big things that we'll look at and just see, have those things improved. And pretty much their time to take off. That RSI mod's a good indicator too. If you're kind of comparing all those variables, you want to see their eccentric peak force. You want to see their eccentric velocity improving. That means they're comfortable pulling themselves down and then transitioning into the concentric impulse phase. So we have to kind of keep that in mind versus you'll see some people that are more muscularly muscle through their jump, or they're kind of slow. They take a long time, but they push off really hard. we want to help them understand like, hey, like you can use momentum now, but you have to be very comfortable in pulling yourself transitioning to go up. Like you want to become like a little more elastic in that regard. And then the skill. So a lot of athletes have to do their approach jump and everything else.
Which is a skill.
It's a skill. And for some positions, it's going to be either closer or a little bit further away from an actual vertex. So like if you're left side, might be a little more different mechanics. If you're middle, maybe it's a little more similar, just based on how you jump in your games and your position. But I think those things have to be kind of considered. Like they need to practice approach mechanics, like the penultimate step. They have to practice that and feel that. And they also have to practice like the torso and the torso angles and the knee angles. Like, hey, if I'm trying to improve my approach jump, you have to practice your step mechanics, right? Because it's not really like a sprint into it and then break and go up.
Right.
You're trying to like take horizontal momentum and then break and transition to vertical propulsion.
Right.
Right. So knowing that, that's a skill to practice that pattern.
I noticed you guys like kind of going over that with some of the older athletes is just getting reps in that practice, you know?
Yeah, they're doing like some band overspeed stuff. They might do some single leg work. They're just trying to practice that pattern and then like get used to being pulled into it. And then second thing is going to be when they're doing their approach, it's more of a bound. It's more of a bound than a sprint. Like, some people start running into it. It's like, think of it more of like a bound into your jump. And then when you hit the ground and you kind of like break hard, like take a video frame and picture frame of like, where is your torso angle? Because you see a lot of kids, especially like the younger ones, like 15, 16, that are still trying to learn it. When they hit their brake about to go up, you'll see that they have like a very more like forward torso lean, which means, right? They're like, it's almost like their broad jump position, right? Like it's an athletic position, but it's a little more forward. So all that now to say is that when they start pushing, their angles be more at a horizontal angle than it would be vertical. They're still going up. It's just that slight change is making them propel a little bit more forward.
Yeah, they're losing
maybe like a little bit on the top in transition, in kind of going far away instead. So you kind of want to see like, hey, when you hit it, like where is your torso angle? Like you want to try to be like more vertical as possible, and you want to have like a little bit more knee bend. Like you should almost like, it kind of looks like a cyclist squat almost.
Wonder why we do so much of that, eh?
Yeah, well, I need to bend it. But yeah, I think that's a big thing. So I would say like genetics, your eccentric ability, and then your skill mechanics. If you can do those three things, like you can't control the genetic part, but you can control your skill mechanics and you can control your eccentric ability, all right? And find out how strong you can make your eccentric capacity, and that'll help you do deceleration work better. Right. It's no different than like any other sports, like field sport, right? They're doing like sprints to decels, right? Like all that same stuff, like your ability to brake, like your ability to accept force, right? Accept force.
Important in like, I can't even think of a sport where it's not important, you know?
It's a sport. Yeah. Like, pretty much just rowing.
Yeah, I guess.
Rowing. And
they're unique though.
Like, like there's a few that it's less important. But in terms for most of our jump sport athletes, the ability to brake, decel, and control and accept force and then transition is going to be very important, right? Which is also why I like Olympic lifts. Now, I know not everyone likes Olympic lifting for certain sports, and I get it. But I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think of using Olympic lifts or non-Olympic lifts, and how would they differ or be similar for training your jump sport athletes to actually improve the vertical?
I mean, I actually spent a lot of the summer kind of like going over my own and like practicing Olympic lift varieties for myself. And doing that, it kind of opens my eyes at how big of a learning curve there can be towards Olympic lifts. Like it does take some time to practice and get it right, and even more time to actually let that apply to how it's improving things like your jump, right? So my views on it are, if you have the time and patience with an athlete, then I do think it is beneficial. But I think there are other ways to get the same benefits where you don't have to cross that bridge of, all right, let's take about like, depending on how well they acclimate to it, like the 3 or 4 months to actually get good at this Olympic lift. Instead, maybe substitute things like loaded jumps, some depth jumps or drop jumps. I think you can get some of the same benefits out of things like that.
I think first it's important to kind of distinguish like where each of those, like if I'm doing like a loaded jump versus like Olympic lift, or even like a variation, like a high pull or something. Looking at what kind of some of the data has been showing, it's like, okay, it shows that like clean pull variations or Olympic lifting variations are very good for rate of force development.
Right.
Okay. So rate of force development. they show that loaded jumps appear to be better for power development, like peak power development, right? So I'm trying to like figure out like, okay, what's kind of like the difference, right? Like what's kind of the difference there? I think we use both, but there's a part of Olympic lifts that I like, and it's about the catch. I like when they catch, and I get it because some coaches will be like, well, it's risky for like, they don't have the wrist stability and everything else. Like, yes, but further, like some of them just do high pulls, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But a lot of them like to clean, right? Like they like to clean, they like to back squat.
Yeah.
And they're good at it. And I get it because like you're kind of making these assumptions based on like the typical archetypes, like taller, leaner athletes tend to be better in the front squat position. Cleans, it's probably not worth the risk. You just do loaded jumps. Yeah. Yes. But like when you're doing your Olympic lifts, like you're improving their rate of force. You're improving like the coordination aspect, right? Like that's you're piecing a lot of things together, the coordination aspect. And you're improving the rate of force. And the nice part is if you measure things with like VBT, you can kind of like help quantify, right? Some of their peak speeds they're hitting when they throw this load. And the second part is like, I do want them to practice catching because really it's teaching them to accept force. No different than like, well, if they're doing depth drops, okay, well, I could save time and just have them do similar things. Like obviously you're not gonna have the same force output, depends on how high the box is. Yeah. But the whole point being is like, if you're doing like a depth drop with certain cues, like are you trying to do like an accentuated landing? You're trying to be like a stick solid landing. It really just depends on what you're triggering, like you're targeting. But I think the Olympic lift variations can cover a lot of bases, and you could do different, like we have our athletes do full power cleans, or they'll do like mid-hang full cleans, right? They're accepting force in different positions, different angles. We'll have them do like mid-hang split cleans, right? Split snatches, right? So it's like all those things that we're doing, like we do drop catch dumbbell drills with some of our athletes, right? It's no different than the same thing. Like, hey, you do a split clean, like it's literally just extension and drop catch into a split squat.
Do you think it's worth spending the time kind of going over how to like get the same effects out of those like catches over things like drop catches and depth drops?
Yeah. I think, okay, you start.
What do you mean?
You said you want to go over.
What?
Maybe I missed it. What'd you say?
I said, do you think it's worth kind of taking the time to go over like physically coaching and...
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Right. I think it's worth it. I think all we're trying to do is extend their toolbox. And all you do is like you just do a risk reward factor, like equation. Like you just kind of like look at the risks and say, okay, where's where this athlete is now? Here's what I want to get them to. Does this do the job or does this the job? They both work. Which one's less risky? Let's go this way. Right. And then if you say, hey, you know what? I actually do want to build this in because I think this will target the one thing that maybe this thing's missing. Then you start teaching them the skills to learn that. All we're trying to do is give our athletes more skills and more tools. Right. A lot of times they enjoy it too. Like,
true.
That's a big thing that we have to also consider is just that athletes should have some joy in doing drills or exercise that they gravitate towards. Right. Like, for example, these past 3 weeks, our volleyball players are doing myotatic squats and then concentric squats, right? And the best part is they get to pick the squat choice. It's just like, hey, you can pick back, front, zero, I don't care. Safety bar, you pick, right? What pattern do you want to, like what variation do you want to do? They all chose back squat. They all chose back squat for everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if that's what you want to do, go for it.
Probably gonna get the best expression out of that anyways because they enjoy it more, right?
It does. Yeah, like, it's gonna be close enough regardless. It's more just like pick the pattern that you're most comfortable with and have fun with it. And I'll pick back squat. But now people say like, you'd hear a lot of people think, well, they're taller athletes, they should be back squatting, compressive forces. I'm like, yeah. Who cares? They picked it, they like it. Go for it. Right? They've done variations of all these squats over the past X amount of weeks anyway.
True.
So they have the autonomy to pick what they want to do.
They've had practice with everything.
And they're good at everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, pick whatever one you want to do. Right? Same with the cleans. Like, hey, you could do split, you could do mid-hang, or you could do snatch. You can pick the one you want to do as long as these parameters are hit. Good. They're all picking cleans. They like doing cleans. I said you could do high pulls. No, they want to do cleans. They want to catch. They want to do the thing.
Right.
So it's like, why am I going to say, no, you can't do that? It's like, hey, you're competent at it. The risk is very low. All right. If you enjoy it, go after it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's just kind of, you keep things in mind, but the whole point is you're choosing tools and variations that are going to move the needle safely, but also understand that give them some autonomy, give them some choice, and they will typically respond very well with the training effect. if anything else, they just have more fun doing it. Like they're more engaged.
Yeah, and that's really going to be one of the biggest differences when it comes to any of this stuff. Is training. Like if somebody's not engaged, then they're probably not going to get more out of it in the long run, anyways.
No, it's
no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a completely different. That's a different topic. We've
hammered that one.
We've hammered that one. Yeah, if we talk about engagement, it's crucial. But I think for our jump sport athletes, and then another thing I would consider too is keeping in mind both the bilateral expression of variations and then also the unilateral expressions. Right. To an extent, I'm still going to do bilateral expressions. But if you had to kind of pick what's underrated or overrated, you think bilateral is underrated, overrated, or unilateral work's underrated, overrated?
I think bilateral work might be overrated.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because it always kind of comes back to like the fundamental work that everyone works on all the time before they can get to unilateral work. But I think, if you can, like a lot of these guys have already been working with their sport long enough, they have a good basis of unilateral strength that you could go right into that right off the bat, depending on who you're working with.
Interesting. I think it depends on the population. I'm going to say I think bilateral work is underrated.
Really? Okay.
For novice or younger athletes. And I would say unilateral work is underrated for more experienced athletes. So pretty much like bilateral work is underrated for novice, overrated for experienced. And I think the opposite for unilateral. I think for novices, I think it's overrated. I think for experienced athletes, I think it's underrated personally. The reason I say that is because I think for bilateral, I think everyone kind of gravitates the same way. It's like, they start them young, they're doing a lot of unilateral work. It's still good. Nothing's wrong with it. But if I had to say, it's like they also have to learn how to express force, as much force as they can. And they're typically going to be able to do that from a bilateral position. Fair. 2 hands, 2 legs, that kind of thing. Whether it's a trap bar, whether it's a front squat, whether it's a bench press, whether it's a pull-up, right? Those things are going to be bilateral in nature, right? I think having them learn that is going to be important. Now, it might be overrated for experienced athletes. Why? Because typically they're strong enough. They know how to express force really well. So now it's almost like you hammer more the unilateral work and see if you can build that threshold up, because now it's considering a different factor. Right. It's like, okay, like how much can you handle on one leg? You're strong on 2. Can you handle on one leg? Probably better, right? And it just adds and plus the funny thing is too, it also has that constraint of load management if you wanted to, consider like the risk, right?
Sure, you probably couldn't load that much anywhere, but
yeah, you could do hand assisted. There's a bunch of variations you can do, or kickstands or whatever. Right. Point being is like they maybe could spend more time there, right? Especially if they're practicing a lot, they're getting beat up. Some bilateral work, they tend to go pretty hard. So it's like, hey, what if you try doing that on one leg? They can still go hard. It's just kind of
not as hard.
They can't even if they wanted to because the constraints, right? It's more like, are we separating like the tissue stress, the neural stress, all that kind of stuff. So both are good. It's not getting rid of one or the other. Right. I think it's realizing the trend and the pattern of like, if you're a novice athlete, you probably could do more bilateral work and be fine. If you're an experienced athlete, you could probably do more unilateral work and be fine. Right? I think that's kind of like the message I would say for that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think personally, but so yeah, that's what I would say. But I want to now talk about, what was it? What was that one thing I was talking about? We talked about VBT.
Right.
I know we kind of had an episode on VBT already, but now that we have a summer of good data under our belt, what are some like top 3 things that you've kind of taken away from using the information from the velocity-based training?
You're right. We have had a lot of use out of it this summer. I think that the speeds at which you're actually like moving the bar are a little bit underrated when determining how heavy you should be pushing. And what I mean by that is like, let's say you have 100 kilos on your back and you think that is pretty hard for yourself. You think you're working hard, and you attach a VBT device to it, and you find that it actually isn't really moving that slowly. You could go heavier. It kind of like, puts you under a microscope and highlights that you are stronger. You're not pushing hard enough. I think that's one thing that really has been exposed to not only the athletes but myself.
Right. Yeah, I think now that we have enough data on a lot of the same patterns and exercises for athletes, and we've always kind of had like some guidelines, but it's kind of cool to see now because we compare the same speed ranges, the loads, everything else like that. It's kind of cool to see how the effort and the exertion are kind of like now lined up for a lot of them. They can feel the reps in reserve. They can kind of gauge how fast something was moving, the depth it was moving at. Because again, we could see the centimeters, everything else like that too. So I think it's cool to see them kind of like have that intrinsic understanding and awareness of like, I know what that felt like. I know how deep it was. I know the speed I was traveling at. I know the effort it felt to get there. I know how much I could have done more. That's kind of been the cool part to see. I think playing around with exercise, I don't really have data. For example, the push press. So like that for me,
that one has always been a little
that's tricky, right? Yeah. So it's like there are standards like an overhead press that's very similar to a deadlift, but the push press is like a totally different exercise, right? So I started playing around with it and I realized like, okay, if we keep it above, like use mean velocity, but if you kind of keep it above like a 0.9 mean velocity, you typically can get, that's kind of like where that cutoff is before now, like it's too heavy, the VBT will pick up 2 reps.
Yeah.
Right? Like the struggling part.
A little pause and then
it'll finish like the struggle and then the muscle part. So I found it's kind of like around that 0.8 to 0.9 kind of cutoff because anything heavier than that, it becomes like 2 reps.
Right.
And then you can kind of calculate, okay, well, if I'm moving like 60 or 70 kilos with my head and it felt like a struggle, but I was able to like make a smooth rep. Okay, like my max is this. You just kind of reverse engineer and kind of figure out what that cutoff is and say, okay. Right. And then we put our athletes, okay, we're going to do a 1.2 cutoff. And they're slinging it. So it's like pretty fast. So you're like, okay, it's probably like 60%, something like that. So now it's like 1.0. So okay, now we're like in the 75%, 80%. So that kind of like was something I learned. I was okay, that was just like trial and error. Turns out that it wasn't too far off, right? So it's almost like I figured out, like for us anyway, a cutoff.
Right.
Another thing we were playing around with was a trap bar, because the trap bar is not the same as a straight bar deadlift, right? True. The different angle and then the 4-inch advantage. It turns out that the trap bar is very similar to squat.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're having to prescribe, velocity zones or velocity thresholds, just use the squat one. And you'd probably be okay for a trap bar. Like a 0.4 is like what, 1, 2 IR, right? Same thing on trap bar, right? Something like that's very similar. So I think it was kind of cool, like playing around with exercise that weren't really standardized from like the data we had. Right. And then I'll also say, I think it's great for the athletes just to kind of get those wins. Like Cassie Robinson crushed, she had 85 for a single yesterday, but I think it moved at a 0.33, whereas last week it moved at like a 0.17 or 0.2. Yeah. So like it was a true max.
Yeah.
Last week, and this week it's probably like a 97%.
And that's like kind of the cool part of how like you can maybe intrinsically feel these things, but then they're expressed on the actual screen to show you how hard you're working.
Yeah, I think it also builds comments like, okay, like if you see a heavy rep move at 0.5, you're like, okay, I got more.
Yeah.
It felt heavy, but it still moved.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like just incrementally. And then you get to that finite point where like, okay, once you're below like 0.4, it's like, okay, now we're doing like 2 to 5 kilo increments.
Yeah.
Because anything more than that, like it can slow down real fast.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what I've experienced myself is like, I was doing squats the other day and I thought it felt pretty heavy. And then it's moving at like 0.5 and I'm thinking back, I'm like, shit, I guess I gotta go heavier, like it
got more juice.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it actually wasn't as hard as I could go. So now you got to kind of be honest with yourself and what you see on the screen.
Yeah. I think one thing I've changed is I know we used to prescribe like a range. So for example, if I have to do like 4 sets of 5 or 5 sets of 3, it used to be like, okay, I want all 3 reps in this range, which typically is like 1 to 2 RIR, 2 to 3 RIR, whatever the range is. I found that if I just say like, hey, I want your last rep of that set faster than the lowest cutoff, that's pretty much good enough. Because if I say, hey, I want between this range and this range, they're kind of trying to work around and say, okay, well, I have to the top range first. Yeah. And then I should finish within the bottom range. Mm. But really, it's kind of like if you just pick a weight where it's like, hey, like you'll figure out as long as you hit your bottom cutoff, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't have to worry too much about the top one because like if you pick the top one too light, you'll know that you're like 0.5 something over the.
Right.
If you're like, and I kind of give them a range like, hey, I want the cutoff, your last rep to be above 0.4. If it's like 0.5, you have to load it up.
Yeah.
Right. Especially like 5 reps or 3 reps. It's like, hey, hit your third rep at 0.5. Yeah, load it up. Like they're actually trying to get closer to the 0.4.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I find that's been like better because, okay, like as long as I'm above that cutoff, I'm good. So try to progress the weight so I'm just above that.
And even if they are hitting like 0.39, 38 for a rep, at least you know they're trying, they're giving it, you know?
Yeah. And the rules I would have is like, just don't miss twice.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, if you're doing like a 5 sets of 3 and I have a 0.4 cutoff by your third rep, they hit their second set. Let's say your first set was like 0.42. Second set was like 0.43. Third set was like 0.40. And then fourth set's like, 0.38. I'm like, well, by that time, let's say 6 sets. Right. Set 5, it's like, well, don't miss twice. If on set 5, you get a 0.38, well, you have to drop the weight for set 6.
Right.
If you get back in the range, great. Then you can finish your set at that weight again. Right. So I think it's just kind of having like a focal point there, and they naturally will try to transition and progress themselves closer to that bottom range mark.
Now, I actually had a question for you. We're kind of want to combine topics a little bit. I've been kind of like playing with my. I was going to say playing with myself.
VBT,
eh?
Yeah. Put the velocity
How
base.
fast
Yes.
can I go?
Peak velocity.
I'm done. No.
I found my speed cutoff.
Anyways.
Oh,
kind of.
What's the velocity? What's the percent drop off?
10%. Give myself 20%.
Woo!
Got a while. Got a lot in the tank. So what I was going to say was, so using VBT with something like Olympic lifts, obviously we're probably going to use more peak velocity with that. Like, what are your struggles been with that? Because I found that, like, let's say I set a certain cutoff at like 2 meters per second on a peak velocity, but I'm getting weights that I actually can't control anymore, but it's still not even close to that threshold.
So you say controlling more like it's too light, like you can't control, or is it kind of like it's too heavy but
still not within the speed I want to be getting to?
Okay, so give me an example. So you're doing like,
let's say I was doing like a snatch, from the floor.
Yeah.
And I gotta get just above like 2 meters per second, but I'm getting close to my max and it's at like 2.45. Like it's not even close, I'm not sure I can get any heavier, but it's not even close to that speed.
So I think that is the tricky part, because again, the peak velocity is typically based on your height, and it's so variable. So it's kind of like, and the skill, it's complicated.
And that's the next one I was going to bring up is like, I think at that point it might be just a skill issue.
It's a skill issue, but also that just because you have that prescription is probably based on like an average, like a certain height range. But like you might not fit into that height range.
Yeah.
And furthermore, like your skill and your ability to handle it. Like I've suffered with that too. And I'm, looking at some of the athletes, I have like a cutoff on a clean, like I want like a 1.8, cutoff at 1, like just once, keep it above 1.8. And they're like, if I'm doing like a power clean, like from the floor, they can't catch enough power. They have to catch it full. So now that changes the exercise. Okay, well, that's not right.
Yeah.
You try to do, okay, let's try 1.8 full clean then. And now they're like struggling because now like they're hitting it, but it's like, it looks ugly.
Yeah.
They're having a hard time. The speed's there, but it's an ugly rep.
Yeah.
So like, okay. So what I've started to do is I'll have like a cutoff like 1.9 for ones. I'll do doubles at 2.0 or higher. And if the doubles look clean and they're close enough, okay, great. But I'll try to I kind of use those ones because it's a little more conservative. And I find it doesn't degrade the rep itself typically. And that's good. Again, change based on their height sometimes too. So if like taller athletes might be different, but for most of my athletes, I've been using like a 1.9 for singles on clean, 2.0s for doubles.
Right.
And they have a lot of wiggle room there. As long as the rep looks good, you can push as much as you like. But again, try to keep it up to speed. As long as the rep integrity is good and you hit your speed target, great. If you want to find out and send a little bit more, try. As long as it's within 0.05, you're fine. You know what I mean? I think it's more just kind of giving the flexibility, knowing that because it's such a complex movement pattern to kind of piece together and now make it a certain speed. It's not like you're doing like a back squat where you can just, do myotatic. It's like a single plane motion. It's like, hey, there's a bunch of moving parts here.
Exactly.
So we have to keep that in mind when we're setting these cutoffs. And peak velocity is it's not that hard to get a high peak velocity.
Right.
It's hard to have the peak velocity while completing the motion. Because if you're just doing a high pull,
And make it look good.
yeah, you can just like jerk the bar really fast and you'll kind of get like a 2 something. Right. But it's like, so for example, Rowan Top yesterday, like he was doing I think mid-hang cleans, whatever. I think his thing was like, keep it above 1.9. And like, he's doing a 110 or 120. And he's doing the pull, but he can't get under the bar. But the pull was at a 212.
Yeah.
Or 214.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, like it is above 1.9. So like maybe the cutoff should be like, for you, maybe it's 220, like 2.20. And maybe that's the speed at which your integrity is good.
Right.
So I think it's kind of looking at, okay, like what is like the prescription that I have for the speed cutoff? What does the rep integrity look like as we get closer to it? And if the speed is there, but the integrity is shit, put the rep speed higher and see where pretty much like the integrity stays.
Right.
And then once you kind of figure the integrity, you say, okay, that's your cutoff for a 1 or a 2 on your Olympic lift. And then if it gets better, then you can try progressing it from there. Right. But I think it's a balance of like, what's your cutoff? Like, what do you hope to get out of the cutoff? And then what does the integrity of the rep look like? And then you just kind of manipulate those two things to make sure that the integrity gets better. And what speed is the integrity moving better at? Where is the speed where the integrity breaks down?
Yeah, it's a fine line.
It's a very fine line. And that could change a lot just based on practice of the skill, right? And there are different archetypes and body. Like they don't have to be, some of them don't do full cleans. That's fine.
True.
So like what's their speed cutoff for mid-hang power, mid-hang full, splits, right? So I think integrity of the rep has to be there first. And then you can kind of gauge the speed. Like I would just test the speed, not even have a cutoff. I'd be like, hey, I just want singles and load up until you feel like you're like 90% of the way there.
Yeah.
And then see what the rep looks like at 90% and the correlating speed. Yeah. It's like, hey, the 90% rep looked great. What was the speed of that rep?
Yeah.
Or the 90% rep looked like shit. What was the speed? Let's go back to 80%. 80% looked great. And what was the speed of that one? I was like, yeah, that's your cutoff then.
Yeah.
Your integrity is good at this percent at this speed. Right? Or like, sorry, your rep integrity looks good at this speed. This will be your new single. And if you
That's a good way to look at it.
And now if you're able to hit that speed with a little bit more weight, you're still
Better.
winning.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's what I would do. Okay. I know it's tricky, but I think that's what I would do. But yeah, that's kind of like the big things from VBT. I know we kind of covered a lot of things, but I think I kind of want to wrap up with some of this stuff. What's the hill in strength and conditioning that you're willing to die on right now? Knowing all the technology, knowing all the data.
I would say one thing that I think is going to be true for myself and always true is just like, I'm not even sure if it's like a hill or a stance, but just constant review.
Constant review.
You know, like what is working, what's making a difference, what do they like, what do they not like, you know? I think that's like really how you can always progress somebody is just looking back on the data you've collected. You know, if you're just like always trying to strive forward without looking back, then you're really going somewhere with no direction.
I think for me, I think I'll bring up the episode we did with Steve because that was actually a good conversation with AI. I think AI is evolving to the point like, well, we're getting better at using it for our own back end work, but we're still dealing with humans, human beings. You need human eyes, human observations, human judgment. AI can help with a lot of like the analysis and back end work, and probably a lot more other things. But it still needs to be managed, monitored, and reviewed, and using human judgment and experience. I think the hill I die on is keeping that humanity involved to it, right? Like there's no AI can replace a lot of things. It's not going to replace coaching. It's not going to replace good training because those are human things, right? Those are consumables that are recurring that you need to keep doing. AI can't work out for you. AI could probably draw you a plan, no problem, right? It could probably do a lot of those things, which is great, right? But it can't give you like feedback right away, right? Maybe you could submit videos, it'll give you some feedback on that, right? But there's going to be a human judgment of experience. Like, hey, here's working with these types of folks. This is probably what's going to work for you based on this person's experience. But I think it's doing a lot of great things. Like I think for us, like I think we're talking about our data reporting. I think that's a big thing for a lot of, I'd say, coaches that are maybe exploring it. Keep exploring it, like just like I am. I think playing around with HTMLs and dashboards and like integrating your files with an AI platform and then letting it kind of compile and analyze it. And if you practice the prompts, you could put together some pretty good, easy. I wouldn't say easy. I would say you can put together some good materials where it's spoken in a language that your people will understand. I think we've had that problem in the past because I know we use a ton of spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And while we might know what these things mean, if we're presenting it to like an athlete or a parent or whomever, a coach, they don't know what any of that shit means and they don't care. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Like who gives it? What the hell is RSI mod? Who cares? Who gives a shit what impulse is, right?
They just care about like, is my kid getting faster,
explosive, stronger? Yeah. It's like, okay, so from our end now, on the back end, we're working on saying, okay, of all the metrics that we collect on an ongoing basis, how do we bucket them? Okay, let's bucket these ones as explosive potential. Let's bucket these ones as elastic capability. Let's bucket these ones as strength or force output, right? And the more you kind of do that, you kind of say, okay, these are the buckets we're going to like the buckets we're going to put these metrics in. And then you can start to weight the value of every metric as it pertains to that quality, as it pertains to that sport. Mm-hmm. So once you do that, now you can use AI and say, okay, great. So here's the tests that I'm going to put in these categories. For these sports, I want it weighted at percentage of this. And then you can say, here's all the data, break it down from every athlete. What's their profile? What's their explosive potential? What's their elastic potential? What's their strength potential? Right? What's their robustness or mobility potential? You don't care. It just depends on what the data you give it. And I think that's something we're working on to kind of use AI to build these dashboards that can make sense of it for the person and the consumer to understand.
I think it is exciting what we can do. I think to like kind of go off your point, I think AI, at least for me, I don't think it will ever fully replace some jobs. You know, I think like some jobs are always going to have to stay human, to your point. I do think it can make a big improvement in assisting with jobs.
I think it can replace some. Like I think it's going to get rid of bookkeeping.
Well, yeah, like some
I think
jobs
bookkeepers are going to be extinct.
Yeah. I think like fully like only looking at statistical analysis, that kind of thing. Like I think that can be replaced, but like I think what I'm saying is some jobs out there can never be replaced. They can just be assisted by these kind of things. Like
definitely support it.
Yeah,
I think anytime where it's a human to human consumable, it's like, well, AI can definitely make it easier, but you're still going to rely on a human to complete the task or provide the feedback, right?
Like, have you ever like seen an email and just because you thought it was AI, you didn't trust it? You know, like that's kind of my view on it right now. Like, I don't really fully trust AI entirely yet, so that's why I feel like if I'm investing any kind of money in it, I want something human to be there.
Yeah, you want to talk to a human.
Exactly.
Totally understand that. I'm the same way. I think it's definitely evolving. And I think for us, I'm playing around with it. That's all I know. I'm playing around with it. I'm integrating with certain systems and I want to see, because now it has access to data and files and I don't have to keep manually putting it in. It can reference these things. It remembers conversations. It remembers the prompts. So it's like if I'm pulling things up, it can automatically cite all these things I already have and pull it right back up to where I need it to be. I'm like, okay, great. Like it'll summarize like our staff notes. It'll summarize like our frameworks. It'll summarize like our data, and it can start to pull things. If I say, I want to look at these things, pull up the data from this, it'll pull it all up and summarize it for me, or it can like break down specifics for me. Right. And then if I give the right prompts, it can literally spit out like, hey, this is probably the focus points using. And the thing is, I think with AI, you have to I think the biggest thing is you're not just relying on AI. So for us, or for me, I'm not relying on AI. I'm trying to educate AI on me and on us so it can better assist us in the shit we do every day. So for example, without just saying, hey, design me a program for this. That has no reference point, no context.
Yeah.
So what do? I uploaded 4,000 of my programs that I've made over the years for all these people. And I said, okay, summarize my style, summarize these things, refer it back to our course curriculum. So now it's starting to piece together like, okay, here's what I do. Here's what's referencing. Here's where it's coming from. So now it has a better sense of like where it's going.
Right.
And then compare that to the data based on these time points. So now I'm trying to it's more like I'm trying to teach AI and educate AI so it can be a better assistant to our day-to-day stuff.
And it's probably the best way to use it, honestly.
I think it's definitely something that, I would agree. I think, it's an evolving thing. I'm curious to see how some of these online softwares that we use progress with that integration, which would be a key factor for some things.
Right.
So, I think we'll wrap it up there. That was pretty solid.
That time already, eh?
I think so. Yeah. I think we covered a lot of random bases, but I know I'm glad we kind of touched on the jumping, and I'm glad we kind of revisited VBT, like the revisitation. I don't know what you call the episode. Revisitation of VBT. I'll say some announcements though too. First off, thank you to everyone that came out to the weight loss webinar. Coach Miles was very appreciative, and I'm sure everyone that attended got some fantastic information. So that was a really well done presentation. Thank you all who attended. Also, we're having something, again, if you haven't already known, for our high school athletes. By the time this episode comes out, it'll be the deadline. Our fall performance package early bird deadline is Friday, August 21st. So that's literally today.
The day this comes out.
The day this comes out. So today's the deadline.
If you're watching this, get on that.
Yeah, if you get on that before the early bird deadline is over. And then we're putting some stuff together for this online training team. We call it the training team. The reason we've started to put this together, and we've reached out to not only just former athletes of ours, but because they're like, their careers now and their lives and everything else like that. But we kind of got some feedback from former athletes and just people in general who are around the area, and they kind of miss training like they were when they're competing. I'm not saying they have to compete, but they kind of miss that feeling of purpose in their training. Like, yeah, you want to look good, you want to feel good and athletic, but they kind of miss like train like an athlete, even though they're not really an athlete, right? They kind of also, so I said the purpose, but they also miss being a part of a community. Like they miss having people that they can, work with and talk with and rely on and support and, receive feedback. So taking all that, we are working on the beta stages of what we call the training team, which essentially is an online platform where people from around the region or anywhere, pretty much, it's all virtual, they can subscribe to the training team, and then there's workouts set. So everyone's doing the same athlete workouts, and they're programmed based on blocks, and there'll be different themes and phases. The nice part is everyone's gonna be doing the same thing. So it's not personalized by any means, but it's something that we use with athletes, right? So different athletes, you kind of get that experience. But furthermore, you also get this sense of community because we have an online group chat. People can comment in there. They can support one another. They can just talk about it. They can DM. So that way they have people they can rely on, and they all kind of know they're going through the same thing. So essentially, it's no different than how we do Squattoberfest. Right? Same thing. We have Squattoberfest. People actually come in to do it, but we also have it online so people can have that group chat. They're posting their videos and support. So we said, why not just extend that to make it like an actual team?
Little piece of IPC at home.
Yeah, a little piece of IPC at your fingertips.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the training team, if you guys are listening to this and are interested, right? You don't have to be a member at IPC. This is for if you're not close by in the area and everything else like that. But let's say you are lacking. That sounds like you. If you sound like, man, I'm a former athlete or I'm just a fitness enthusiast and I miss having like a purpose, a plan that I don't have to think about, but also a community that can support me and like I can support them, send us a DM. Send us an email, get in touch, because we would love to have you beta test it and give us your feedback, right? Because we're trying to make this community grow. So we said, you know what? Why not start there? Right? So that's called the training team. Again, any question on that, shoot us a DM and we will hook you up with a beta trial and you can give us some feedback. You could be our guinea pig.
Doesn't that sound fun?
Doesn't sound fun? Yeah. You could be the guinea pig. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. That's this episode. This is the Performance Matters Podcast. We are on Spotify, we're on Apple, and we are on YouTube. We have some big things coming down the line with another partnership, and you guys will get an exclusive discount code. So tune in for that. But in the meantime, if you want that discount code, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, right? Join the cool kids community. Get involved. All you got to do is click that thumbs up button and you will be a part of it, right? Support us on Spotify. Make sure you follow. Our followers are growing. We want to make sure we can keep bringing you some awesome shit every week. All right, guys. Again, thank you for tuning in. You were to find us. Until next time.
Peace.